3/4 of an inch. That's how much ice could coat power lines across Pennsylvania and western New York by Friday evening. And if you think that doesn't sound like much, let me tell you what happens when 3/4 of an inch of ice accumulates on infrastructure. Power lines snap, trees collapse, roads become skating rinks, and worst of all, it happens when temperatures are in the low 20 seconds. When you need power most, that's when you lose it. But here's what's really keeping meteorologists up at night. This ice storm is just the warm-up act. The main event is an Arctic blast so severe that negative temperatures, actual air temperatures, not wind chill, will reach as far south as Texas. In 30 seconds, I'm going to show you the exact timeline of when this hits your area. And at the 5-minute mark, I'll reveal the one preparation step that could save your life if you lose power. Here's your immediate reward. California is reporting 160,000 homes without power right now, wind gusts of 70 to 80 miles per hour, multiple landslides in the past 24 hours, and tornado warnings? Yes, tornadoes in California on Christmas. This isn't just unusual weather. This is a pattern breaking down. Right now, across Northern California, Central California, Southern California, there's a 2% tornado probability. Cities at risk today. Wind damage already reported across the Los Angeles area. But while the West battles these storms, something far more dangerous is assembling to the north. Arctic air. The kind that doesn't just feel cold, it is cold. The kind that creates life-threatening conditions for anyone unprepared. The kind that tests infrastructure designed for much milder temperatures. This cold is coming, and it's coming for everyone. Let me show you the battleground. Right now, there's a zone stretching from Minnesota through Wisconsin into Michigan where warm air and cold air are colliding. And when those air masses meet, when they clash, that's where freezing rain develops. Not snow. Freezing rain. The most dangerous precipitation type. Snow, you can shovel. Snow, you can drive through carefully. Snow might knock out power, but usually it doesn't. Freezing rain is different. It coats everything. Roads become impossible to navigate. Even walking becomes hazardous. And power infrastructure, that's where the real danger lies. Tonight into Thursday morning, northeastern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin see the first wave, 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain. Some areas could see 2/10. That's enough to create serious problems. Roads will be treacherous, black ice forming on every surface. You can't see it until you're sliding. Emergency services struggle to respond because their vehicles can't maintain traction. Thursday afternoon into evening, the freezing rain zone expands. Upper Michigan sees sleet transitioning to freezing rain. Travel advisories turn into travel warnings. Smart people stay home. But Friday, that's when catastrophe becomes possible. Friday morning through Friday evening, the ice zone shifts east and intensifies. Southeastern Michigan, Pennsylvania, western New York, northern Maryland. The forecast models are showing 1/4 inch of ice across wide areas. Some locations, particularly in the mountains, could see 3/4 of an inch. Let me explain what 3/4 of an inch of ice does. It adds massive weight to power lines. Lines designed to hold specific loads suddenly carry loads they were never engineered for. They sag, they snap. Wooden utility poles crack under the stress. Tree branches, especially if they still have leaves or are already weakened, break. When they break, they often fall onto power lines below. Each falling branch creates another outage, another repair needed. And the repairs? They're nearly impossible during active freezing rain. Crews can't work safely. They can't access problem areas. They can't get bucket trucks positioned on ice-covered roads. So outages linger. Hours become days. And temperatures are in the 20 seconds. Think about your home losing power with outside temperatures at 22 degrees. How long before your house temperature drops to 40, to 30? How long can you stay safe? This is why preparation isn't optional. This is why I'm giving you these warnings days in advance. You have time. Use it. At the 5-minute mark, I promise the one critical preparation step. Here it is. Know your vulnerable neighbors and have a plan to help them. That elderly couple 3 houses down. That single mom with kids. That disabled veteran living alone. Know who they are. Check on them. Make sure they know they can come to your house if they lose power. This isn't just good advice. This is literally life or death in some cases. The Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself. When ice is falling and power is failing and temperatures are dropping, that's not abstract theology. That's concrete action. You have a generator? Maybe your neighbor doesn't. You have a fireplace? Maybe your neighbor doesn't. You have the ability to shelter someone? Maybe that's exactly what you're called to do this week. Faith without works is dead. This is the work. This is what loving your neighbor looks like when the weather turns dangerous. Now, let me continue the timeline because the ice is just the beginning. Friday night into Saturday morning, precipitation transitions from freezing rain to snow across the interior northeast. Heavy snow develops, snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour. Saturday morning, accumulations build quickly, 3 to 5 inches across much of the region. But the heaviest snow, 6 to 9 inches, that falls across eastern Pennsylvania, central and northern New Jersey, New York, Long Island, possibly southwestern Connecticut. 6 to 9 inches on top of whatever ice already fell. Roads that were skating rinks now become impassable. Travel essentially stops. And while this is happening, while the ice is still being cleared and the snow is still falling, the Arctic front arrives. Saturday evening, temperatures begin crashing. Not gradually, suddenly. The Arctic front is a sharp boundary. Temperatures on one side might be in the 30s. Temperatures on the other side are in the teens. When that front passes your location, you feel it. The wind picks up, gusts to 40 miles per hour, and the temperature drops like a stone. Sunday morning, wake up to a different world. High temperatures, daytime highs, remain frozen across the northern tier. The 22nd, the teens, some areas struggling to reach 10 degrees. And the wind chill. With 40-mile-per-hour gusts, wind chills drop into negative numbers. -10, -20, in some locations, -30 degrees. Exposed skin freezes in minutes. Not an exaggeration. Medical fact. Frostbite develops rapidly at those temperatures. Hypothermia becomes a real risk for anyone caught outside without proper protection. For homeless populations, this is deadly serious. For anyone whose heat fails, this is dangerous. Sunday through Monday, the cold doesn't retreat. It intensifies. It spreads. Monday morning, freezing temperatures reach the Four Corners region. Northern Texas, all the way to Indiana. The Arctic air is diving deep into the continental United States. Some areas experience negative temperatures. Actual air temperature, before wind chill. Montana, North Dakota, northern Minnesota. You're looking at readings that could hit -10 to -20 degrees. With the wind chill factored in, we're talking about -15 to -30 degree wind chills across portions of the West, South Central, and Great Lakes regions. This is dangerous cold, life-threatening cold. The kind that tests infrastructure, the kind that creates emergencies. Pipes burst in homes that lose heat. Even in homes with heat, poorly insulated pipes can freeze and burst. Water damage on top of everything else. Car batteries fail. Diesel fuel gels. Machinery doesn't start. Even simple tasks become difficult. And it continues through Tuesday. Tuesday morning brings the deepest penetration of Arctic air. Freezing temperatures from Washington State and Oregon across the northern tier all the way to the Carolinas. Northern Texas, possibly the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex, experiences hard freezes. Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia all see temperatures at or below 32 degrees. The wind chill extends the freeze zone even deeper into Texas, across Louisiana, along the Gulf Coast. Infrastructure in the South isn't designed for this. Homes aren't insulated like northern homes. Heating systems aren't rated for extended hard freezes. Water pipes run in places that would never be allowed in Minnesota. This creates vulnerabilities, problems that don't exist during typical southern winters. Remember the Texas winter storm of 2021? The widespread power failures? The infrastructure breakdown? This has similar potential, though hopefully better preparation this time. Now, here's where the forecast gets even more complicated. There's a potential storm system developing right in the middle of this Arctic blast. Look at the pattern. Cold air pouring south. Warm, moist air trying to push north from the Gulf of Mexico. When those air masses collide, storms form. Potentially major storms. The European model shows a strengthening low-pressure system Sunday into Monday. If this develops as modeled, it could bring a significant snowstorm to portions of the Northeast. The American GFS model shows something similar but positions the low pressure further west, over Illinois. That track would create different snowfall patterns. The exact details are still uncertain. We're looking at day 6 and 7 of the forecast, beyond the high confidence window. But the ingredients are there. The pattern supports storm development. If it happens, if this storm materializes, we're talking about heavy snow in a very cold air mass. No mixed precipitation, no rain, pure snow, and potentially a lot of it. Even if the storm doesn't develop exactly as modeled, the cold is certain. Multiple model runs over multiple days, all showing the same basic pattern. Arctic air diving into the United States, temperatures 20 to 30 degrees below average, in some locations 40 degrees below average. This isn't a quick shot of cold air. This is sustained. Saturday through Tuesday, 4 days of dangerous cold. Then, as we head toward New Year's, a brief moderation. The Arctic air retreats slightly. We warm up, not back to 60 seconds and 70 seconds, but back to more seasonal temperatures. But here's the concerning part, and this is what the long-range models are showing. This isn't a one-time event. As we push into mid-January, another Arctic intrusion appears likely, possibly even colder than this one, possibly longer lasting. The pattern is setting up for repeated waves of Arctic air through the middle of winter. After one of the warmest Decembers on record, January could be brutally cold. That's a significant pattern shift, and pattern shifts create problems. Infrastructure sitting in 50 and 60-degree weather suddenly has to handle teens and 20 seconds. That's when failures occur. Let me give you region-specific guidance. What you need to do based on where you live? Upper Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin, you're first in line. Ice tonight and Thursday, then the Arctic blast. Prepare today. Stock up on essentials, make sure your heating system works, have backup plans ready. Great Lakes region, you get the ice Thursday into Friday, then the freeze. Same preparation applies. Don't wait until the weather arrives. Northeast, you face a triple threat. Ice Friday, snow Friday night, into Saturday, then Arctic cold. This is a multi-day event. You might not be able to leave your house for days. Prepare accordingly. Mid-Atlantic, ice is your primary threat, 3/4 of an inch in some areas. Power outages are highly likely. Have what you need to survive without electricity for potentially several days. South, you're not used to extended hard freezes. Protect plants. Bring pets inside. Let faucets drip to prevent pipe freezing. Open cabinet doors under sinks to circulate warm air around pipes. Texas, northern Texas, sees hard freezes. Dallas-Fort Worth area, this is significant. Wind chills could push effective temperatures below zero. This tests infrastructure in ways it's not regularly tested. West Coast, California, you're already in the fight. More storms coming, more feet of snow in the mountains, more heavy rain along the coast. Mudslide danger remains extreme in burn-scar areas. Do not travel through the mountains unless absolutely necessary. Chain requirements won't save you if conditions deteriorate to whiteout. Wait for the pattern to break. Now, let me talk about the practical realities of power outages during ice storms. When ice accumulates on power lines and trees, outages are nearly guaranteed. Not possible. Guaranteed. The question is how widespread and how long. 1/10 of an inch of ice causes scattered outages. 1/4 inch causes widespread outages. 3/4 of an inch causes catastrophic outages that take days or weeks to repair. Why weeks? Because the damage is extensive. It's not just one line down. It's hundreds of lines, dozens of poles, maybe even transmission towers. Repair crews have to work systematically. Priority goes to critical infrastructure first. Hospitals, emergency services, water treatment plants. Then they work outward, fixing the largest outages first to restore power to the most people. Individual houses at the end of rural roads? You might wait a while. That's not callousness, that's triage. Limited crews, massive damage, they do the most good first. So if you live in a rural area, if you're at the end of a long driveway off a secondary road, plan for extended outage. Days, not hours. What do you do during a multi-day power outage with temperatures in the 20 seconds? First, preserve body heat. Layer clothing. Hats are essential. You lose tremendous heat through your head. Close off rooms you don't need. Gather family in one space. Second, use alternative heat safely. If you have a fireplace, use it. If you have a generator, run it outside, never in a garage or basement. Carbon monoxide kills silently. Never use charcoal grills indoors. Never use gas ovens for heat. The risk of carbon monoxide poisoning is real and deadly. Third, protect your pipes. Open cabinet doors under sinks. Let faucets drip. Shut off water to your house if you lose heat for extended periods. Fourth, maintain communication. Charge phones in your car if necessary. Keep one phone with minimal use for emergencies. Let family know you're okay. Fifth, check on neighbors. Repeat this. Check on neighbors. Someone might need help. Someone might need to come to your house. Community saves lives. This is where faith becomes action. This is where love your neighbor stops being a nice phrase and becomes a survival strategy. God calls us to community, to helping each other, to bearing one another's burdens. Ice storms are exactly the burden we're called to help carry. Now, let me address California in more detail, because the West is battling current crisis while the East prepares for future crisis. 160,000 homes without power and counting. Counties along the coast and in higher elevations are hardest hit. These areas are taking repeated atmospheric river events. An atmospheric river is exactly what it sounds like. A river of moisture in the atmosphere flowing from the Pacific Ocean, making landfall in California. When these hit, they hit hard. Rainfall rates exceeding an inch per hour. In mountains, snow measured in feet, 4 to 5 feet already in some Sierra locations. Another 4 to 5 feet forecast. That's good for water supply. California needs snowpack, but it's also creating immediate hazards. Avalanche danger is extreme. Travel is nearly impossible. Structural loads on buildings are concerning. And the wind, 70 to 80 mile per hour gusts near Los Angeles. That's hurricane force. That's wind that topples trees, damages structures, creates flying debris. The tornado threat has expanded. 2% probability across northern, central, and southern California. Tornadoes are rare in California, but not impossible. This much instability, this much wind shear, tornadoes can form. Landslides continue. When you drop inches of rain per hour on saturated soil, especially in burn scar areas where vegetation is gone, the earth can't hold. It flows, taking highways, homes, anything in its path. 2 more landslides reported in the last 24 hours. How many more before this pattern breaks? The storm battering California is the same system that will bring ice to the upper Midwest and snow to the Northeast. It's all connected, one massive atmospheric event spanning the continent. The jet stream has amplified, deep troughs alternating with tall ridges. California sits under a trough. The eastern U.S. is transitioning from ridge to trough, and in that transition, severe weather develops. This is atmospheric physics playing out in real time. Cold air and warm air. They don't mix peacefully. They battle, and we live in the battleground. Now, those long-range forecasts showing another Arctic blast in mid-January, let me explain that pattern in more detail. The Arctic air currently locked over Canada and Alaska, it plunges south this weekend. But atmospheric patterns are dynamic. They evolve. After this blast, the pattern briefly relaxes. The Arctic air retreats north. We warm up into early January. Not back to record warmth, but back to more seasonal temperatures. Then, second week of January, the pattern shifts again. Another Arctic intrusion. Multiple forecast models showing this. European weeklies, American weeklies, Canadian models. They don't agree on every detail, but they agree on the overall theme. Repeated cold air intrusions through mid-January. What drives this pattern? The polar vortex. Not the polar vortex itself, but disruptions to it. When the polar vortex weakens or displaces, Arctic air spills southward. We're seeing signs of that in the long-range data. Not certain yet, but possible. If it happens, if we get a significant polar vortex disruption, January could be historically cold across large portions of North America. But even without that, even with just the cold we're already forecasting, this is a significant pattern shift from the warm December. After weeks of above-average temperatures, after one of the warmest Decembers on record, January is bringing winter. Real winter. Challenging winter. Use this information wisely. Don't panic. Prepare. Make plans. Have backup plans for your backup plans. And help others prepare. Share this information. Make sure people know what's coming, especially vulnerable populations. The elderly who might not watch weather forecasts. The homeless who have nowhere to go when temperatures plummet. The families struggling to afford heating bills. This is where community organizations, churches, civic groups, this is where they become essential. Warming centers, shelters, food banks, all of these serve critical functions during extreme weather. Support them. Volunteer if you can. Donate if you can't volunteer. These organizations save lives. Now, as we approach the end of this forecast, let me synthesize everything into clear action items. Immediate, today and tomorrow, before the ice arrives, stock up. Food, water, batteries, flashlights, first aid supplies, medications, get what you need. Thursday through Friday, expect ice across upper Midwest and Great Lakes, spreading into Northeast. Travel will be dangerous, then impossible. Power outages likely. Shelter in place if possible. Friday night into Saturday, heavy snow across interior Northeast, 6 to 9 inches in heaviest areas. Combined with existing ice, roads impassable. Saturday through Tuesday, Arctic blast. Dangerous cold, life-threatening wind chills. Protect yourself, your family, your neighbors, your pets. Early January, brief warm-up, but remain vigilant for potential mid-January Arctic blast. That's the timeline. That's the forecast. That's what's coming. How you respond determines outcomes. Preparation saves lives. Community saves lives. Faith expressed through action saves lives. We're not powerless against weather. We can't control it, but we can prepare for it. We can help each other through it. We can survive and even thrive despite it. That's the message. That's the calling. Stay informed. Forecasts will update. Details will sharpen, but the big picture is clear. Stay prepared. Have what you need before you need it. Stay connected. Check on family, friends, neighbors. Maintain communication. Stay faithful. Trust that even in challenging weather, even in dangerous conditions, we have each other. We have our communities. We have our faith. The ice will fall. The snow will accumulate. The cold will arrive. These are certainties. But equally certain, we will get through this. Together, prepared, faithful, strong. May God protect you and yours through whatever weather comes. May your preparation be sufficient. May your community be strong. May your faith sustain you. Until the next update, stay safe, stay warm, stay blessed. The challenge is real, but so are we. So is our community. So is the love we're called to show each other. Face the storm with courage. Face it with preparation. Face it with faith. And on the other side, we'll still be standing. Together. Grateful. Stronger for having weathered it. That's the promise. That's the truth. That's the hope. Stay strong. Stay safe. Stay faithful. The weather is coming, but we are ready.